also like the best flea market haul I've ever had. Hello everybody, in this video I'm back at the flea market. It was actually recorded in early January, so it was freezing. The whole time my fingers were just shaking, but we'll get right into it with our first find of the day. I got 2 Game & Watches and a Tony Hawk game for the PS2 for 50 bucks. I sold the game for about $12 and the consoles went for about $65. I wanted to get a little bit more for them, but I didn't realize at the time that they're actually the Japanese version, so that hurt the value a little bit, but I ended up making a little bit of profit anyways, and for me, it's worth paying up a little bit to make those connections with sellers who have good stuff like that. Good morning.
Okay, that's a vacuum cleaner. I have other actually I got 2 other vacuum cleaners. So I just
sound like my mom.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a prime example. I didn't buy any vacuums from that lady, but I mean, it's nice to talk to people at the flea market. It's one of my favorite parts. And you can get some good deals just by making connections with people and being a kind human being. This seller has some pretty good stuff, but it's always overpriced. This is a different booth where I found this Columbia jacket, which honestly could have been a really great find. I didn't even ask how much it was, but I honestly don't really ever resell clothes. I don't know enough about them to make it worth it, and the sell-through rates are never fantastic, so I typically pass on clothes unless it's for personal use. Here I was looking at some pins. I've actually been looking for Disney pins because for our grad night trip this year we're going to Disneyland, and even if they're not high-value pins, if you can find them cheap, and you can trade them in the parks, which I think is a lot of fun. Every time I've gone to Disneyland, I trade. There was also some Funko Pops at this booth, but they weren't super high dollar, mostly Stranger Things, and I think they wanted, if I remember correctly, like $3 to $5 each, which just doesn't leave a ton of meat on the bone for me. Oh, and also that Bugs Bunny Barbie was pretty cool, but I didn't pick her up. Not super valuable and not in great condition. This spider reminded me of Jenny Nicholson. I don't know if you guys have ever watched her. I highly recommend her channel, but she bought a giant spider on Craigslist and made a whole video about it, so I was considering buying this penguin as a gift. My stepmom has like a thing for penguins. She thinks they're adorable or something, but I did not end up picking it up. I was also looking at this leather jacket for a friend of mine. She's been on the hunt for a leather jacket to no avail, but no dice. Oh, and then I found these Monster High dolls, which, I mean, you can see them. They really weren't worth picking up for me. I think the seller wanted about 10 bucks each, and they didn't even have their original clothes. There was also like a Cabbage Patch doll, some cool stuff, some Monster High accessories, the books, but as you'll see here in a second, I ask how much he wants, and it was just a little bit too high for me.
What's is that?
These are $1 each.
Okay.
All this stuff is $1 each.
Okay.
This is 5, this is 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I definitely could have haggled, but I decided to pass. As you might be able to tell, I've been posting a lot less just because I've been buying a lot less. If you haven't gathered already by my grad night comment, I'm going to be graduating high school soon and going off to college. So I've actually been selling a lot of my dolls or putting them in storage. And that's not exclusive to just dolls. It's really most of my collectibles in general because frankly I just won't have room. Dorms are obviously not the most spacious place to live, and I also need to start saving up money, but that's not to say that flea market videos are going to stop when I go to college. In fact, probably quite the opposite. There seems to be a pretty good flea market not too far from my college. For the most part, the reason why I don't post more frequently is because I don't have time to even do these voiceovers or edit because high school shenanigans, college applications to a bunch of other boring stuff. But if you are interested in any of that kind of stuff, like college or just like me as a person, I do have my own channel that I'm going to start posting on. In fact, I have a college admissions video that I'm working on that's either going to be posted soon or is already posted. I will link my personal channel in the description. I actually have pet snails, so I was like this close to buying that snail planter, but I decided against it. And then there were some video games here, but I don't have an Xbox One, and I don't think any of them were worth reselling, but it's cool to see video games. This video had more video games than I typically see in a trip to the flea market. And my best find today by far, which is coming up very soon, is also video game related, so it was a good day in video gaming. I actually get a lot of comments from people either asking me questions about flea markets, saying they don't even have flea markets near them, or if they do have flea markets near them, they're not very good. And I was kind of, I guess, surprised when I first got comments like that, because I guess I took my local flea markets for granted. I really just assumed that there were flea markets everywhere, but it's not really the case. I live in California, where flea markets are pretty common. There's 4 flea markets within pretty close driving distance to me, but let me know in the comments if you have a flea market nearby and if you go. I'm very lucky in the flea market regards, and even in the thrift store regards. There are probably almost 100 thrift stores just in my city, which is slightly an exaggeration, but not by much. And then I'll talk about this booth that I'm at right now. There was a lot of good stuff, as you saw, but they were also a reseller, so their prices were, they weren't too high, but they were too high for me to buy and make any profit off of. And as far as my personal collection goes, nothing for me to buy on that front either. These sellers are a corner booth, and their prices are pretty outrageous. I always go just to look at their stuff because it tends to be decent, but anytime you ask for a price, it's going to be at or even above eBay value, and as a reseller, obviously that's terrible, and even as a buyer, right? Like if I saw that pink purse, if I saw that pink purse and wanted to buy it for myself, it would be eBay value, and at that point, I'd rather just go on eBay, pay for it to be shipped to my door with a money-back guarantee and an option to return, compared to the flea market where that's not an option. But of course, if people are going to buy things at that price, why not sell them at that price? And I'm not going to knock them for that. I'm just not going to personally pay those prices. This is another booth, and it was pretty cool. That head of maybe a philosopher, that vintage Yoda, Harry Potter games, even some Wii stuff in the back. I saw that too. Just nothing that I really felt like shipping. Even if something is worth a lot of money, if it's going to be really heavy or large to ship, I probably won't pick it up. And then this right here is definitely my personal favorite part of the flea market.
I get 2. Huh? Just regular? Yeah, 2 regular.
At this booth, I found a lot of Tsum Tsums, and when I was a kid, I actually used to collect Tsum Tsums. And as far as reselling goes, they're not, they don't have a fantastic sell-through rate, which means you might be sitting on them a while, but they will sell, and definitely sell for more than $1, which is what I paid for the ones I bought. I kind of wish I bought more, but I just bought the ones that stood out to me the most. So here is Jafar and Iago. Right now I have these listed for about $15, I think. This is Nana, the dog from Peter Pan. Right now I have him listed at, I'm not sure, I'll put it on the screen. And then I bought this Lady Tsum Tsum from Lady and the Tramp. I'm keeping that one for my personal collection. And this is the Caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. And right now I have that one listed for about $8. So, like I said, none of them are very fast sellers. I haven't sold any of them yet, but they will sell eventually. That Bratz bag was cute. So this booth is where I'm going to find my best find of the day. This was obviously a storage unit buyout, And the lady who was selling here was really nice. I talked to her about college and stuff, but they had a ton of Barbies. I think I was maybe a little too late because I didn't find any Barbies that were worth buying or that I really wanted. Unfortunately, even though there were a ton of inbox Barbies, I didn't find any that I had to have, which kind of sucked. Something cool that this seller had was that Spider-Man PS4 Slim, because literally the day before, I had just bought a PS4 Slim on eBay, and it was a really good deal. I paid $230 including shipping on eBay, but she only wanted $200, which is an even better deal, but I don't regret buying it on eBay instead of the flea market. Are you selling? How much for this?
30.
30. But my best find of the day was this Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch dock. Let me get it right now because I have it right there. And then the funny thing is, after I picked this up and I had it in my bag, people kept asking me if I found a Nintendo Switch at the flea market. I did not, guys. It's just the box. But so after I asked her, I was like, how much is this? You saw in the video that I picked it up and it was just the dock, and she was like, 30 bucks, whatever. And I was like, that's kind of high for just the dock. And then her husband came out and he was like, oh, do you want the box with it too? It has all the cords in it. And I was like, yeah, of course. So it did not have the actual console in there, but the dock, all of the cords and everything brand new, never used. With the box, so that was awesome. She wanted $30 for it, and I was able to talk to her, and I got it down to $25. And during quarantine, I was obsessed with Animal Crossing. I wanted this Nintendo Switch dock so bad, so it really just made my little quarantine soul very happy. That's a nice frame.
I have a dollar though.
I have a dollar.
You have a dollar?
Yeah, I have a dollar.
Is this a dollar?
Thank you.
Found some goodies. Found some goodies.
Frame.
Cool. We got a winner. We got a winner.
And my mom got a frame. And there's also just some random Barbies here chilling out in the middle of some shoes. Then I came across this American Girl doll, which I was really excited. American Girl dolls, finding them at a flea market, at least in my area, is like a holy grail. Like, I never find them, but I really would like to. And so I'm taking a look, and she's in really bad condition, unfortunately. But I figure I ask about her anyways. If she's cheap enough, I'll buy it, but... And she said 25, which is just way too high. She'd have to be completely re-wigged, and her limbs would have to be tightened, so not worth it for resale or my collection. And then, kind of stupidly, I didn't get a video of this, but it was really cool. This lady had a bunch of Disney pins. The ones that did not have a back on them were $1, and the ones with a back were $3. So that is a fantastic price. Some of these were limited edition. I actually ended up going back to her a couple weeks later and buying more after that. And one I already resold, and it sold the same day that I listed it for a very high price, and I bought it for $1. So that's kind of crazy. But for this specific video, I bought 2 pins that I really like to keep, so that Pluto pin and the Chip and Dale pin, and then I bought one for my mom, that Pumbaa pin, because she really likes Pumbaa. And then that Charge It pin I bought just to trade because it was limited edition, and some people require you trade a limited edition for an equivalent. And then as we're coming to the end of our trip, we still have one more find left. I asked about these Lego Dimension sets because I have sold these before for a decent amount. But of course I asked, and he said $7 each, which is just a little too high for me, unfortunately. There was this bin of dolls which I looked through, but they were in pretty awful condition, nothing worth picking up. And that's saying something, because I will pick up a doll in pretty bad condition if it's a good enough doll. But there were these troll dolls, which are pretty cute. I always like seeing troll dolls. I don't tend to pick them up because they're not often worth a lot of money, and I don't have a place for them, but they're just cool to see. And then I also collect CDs, and as I was looking at these CDs, I found that Gordon Lightfoot CD to end the day off. He's a great singer if you don't know him. And then we headed back to the car. This was probably the coldest, but also like the best flea market haul I've ever had. As you can see, my nose is all red. So this is my complete haul. It was really fantastic, especially at the time. Obviously, I got in the car and I was like, that was so awesome, because I got Game & Watch consoles, which I thought were going to sell for a lot more, but still they were cool to find. That Tony Hawk game, the Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch dock, which was really cool. So all in all, I was really satisfied with this flea market day. And if you're interested in more flea market videos, thrifting, reselling, collecting, anything like that, please feel free to subscribe or check out this video right here.